Okay, so great to have you here, Camilita. Welcome to our participants who have joined us. So at the moment, that would be Gareth and Michelle. And I'm sure more people will come along as we go through. So what we're going to do today, so for those of you that haven't picked up on it, Camilita is currently in Toronto. So for her, it's the afternoon. I'm in London, so it's the evening. Got to love these global businesses. So what we're going to do, so I'm Vicky Coombs. I'm the CEO and unconventional challenger for Your Bright Horizons. I'm also the queen of Hummingbirds. I'm a learning leader, transformation coach, master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, and an executive consultant, just to name a few of the things I do. With me in the room is Gareth Tuppeny. He's the COO and exceptional shaper for Your Bright Horizons. He's on mute, so he can't hear anything. He will be responding to specific questions anyone might have in the chat box, as well as making sure that we know what you want to ask our guest Camilita or myself today, because the two of us, as you will soon see, will get into full flow and we might miss those questions coming up ourselves. So, welcome to this exclusive interview with Camilita Nuttall, CEO of Event of Champions, Master Motivator, I'm reading this, award-winning corporate sales trainer, executive business mentor, investor, and public speaker extraordinaire. I've added that in. So, I just want to tell you a little bit about how Camilita and I met. She burst into my life last year when I heard her speak at the Global Women Summit. And I was blown away by her energy, her straight talking, and her humour, right, which again you'll get to experience tonight. And I immediately commissioned her to be my business mentor. I said to her, I think my precise words, Camilita, were, I need you to kick my tushy.
That you said indeed.
That's it. And then during our first 3-hour session, she turned my world upside down, which is okay because I soon discovered that hummingbirds fly upside down, so that was fine. And the outcome of that upside down turning was the new range of programs that I've developed for hummingbirds. And we've got a whole lot of events that are coming up, so we'll talk a bit about those later. So just so you know who we're talking about in relation to hummingbirds, is because we will mention them a number of times tonight. They are the people who are driven by their curiosity. And what that means is they will have a massive range of interests. They've often had a lot of different jobs, potentially an actual range of careers, not just jobs. They'll often have had a really broad, diverse experience set. They will often have a diverse range of people in their lives as well, all over the world probably. And they may also have lived or travelled to a lot of different places because they need to be learning, they need to be challenged, they need to have change in their lives. So that's who we're talking about. That's who the hummingbirds are. I'm one, Gareth is one, and we've also discovered that Camilita is one, and that's why we're doing this interview tonight, to find out how Camilita, who's incredibly successful and is one of the things that quite a lot of hummingbirds struggle with, that thing around becoming successful. Camilita is. We're going to explore what that means. Now, Camilita is successful in her business and in her career. She's also successful in her relationship, and that's another area that hummingbirds can struggle with. So we're going to explore some of that tonight. So, Camilita, having recognised yourself as a hummingbird, why don't you share with us how you know you're a hummingbird?
Well, thank you so much, firstly, for having me onto this amazing call. Yes, I can see your drink. I need something a little bit stronger than that. But yeah, definitely after. I recognized a hummingbird for me. I grew up in the Caribbean. Let me start from there. And I would see hummingbirds just outside my front porch, and they'll be flying around. They're beautiful, but the attention span is just not there. And so they just jump from one flower to get to jump another one, and just jump and they just jump, and that's their life. But you know, looking at it from the outside, it seemed as if they weren't accomplishing a lot because they wouldn't stay one place and be consistent for very long. But in learning and understanding the attitude of a hummingbird, it is that they get enough of what they need for that at that point, and then they move on. It is not that they just move on, but it's being able to be consistent, but being consistent in movement.
Yeah.
And keep evolving and keep changing. And for me as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs usually are people who they see things that the other people don't normally see, and they just go for it. They just do it, and they don't think about, you know, how am I going to do it. They just get on with it. And for some of the people that are listening, you know, that's you, and I realized that was me. The one thing though for me was that I needed to have clarity, and I needed to have consistency, and I needed to know exactly what was happening, what was the next thing. There was always going to be a next thing, because I run several businesses, so it's not like if I'm focused on just one thing, but it's consistent. And I've learned as a hummingbird myself to be consistent, but to be consistent with change. And that's really difficult for some people to do. And I remember meeting with my branding expert a couple of months ago, last year actually, in Arizona. And she said, Camilita, the difference with you is that you are both an entrepreneur and a manager. There are very few people who are entrepreneurs and managers at the same time. But that's one of the things in which you have learned to do. And I said, this is discipline. And a lot of hummingbirds, people out there who are quite entrepreneurial and quite, you know, they see the bigger picture, and they can see all the amazing things to do, but don't know how to really bring it in together. That's a true hummingbird. And if you look at the hummingbird as it stands, they're able to move around quickly, but with precision.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people who are hummingbirds need to learn. And that's what I realized in myself, but I had to have that discipline at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Because people ask me that as well, right? Is how do you achieve as much as you do? And a lot of it is about, part of it's pride and just general stubbornness. But part of it is, okay, that's what I'm going to achieve. That's the date I'm going to achieve it by. Here's how I'm going to do that. And then that's what I focus on. So it looks like we've got a question, Carmelita, from Beth, who
yes.
I understand is actually connecting with us from Panama. So we're going global. So I find it really, she says, I find it really interesting that you are consistent with change. But I would guess that this is not change just for the sake of change. What do you think is the purpose of change in each case? How do you know when is the right time to change and where the right place to go is? I told you we're going to give you interesting questions.
Well, that's a really good question, Beth. Thank you so much. And I love the background of your photo as well. It makes me feel I want to be there right now. It is interesting to be consistent with change. Consistency is the biggest problem for most hummingbirds. Most people who are, you know, very driven but jumping from one thing to the next very, very quickly. They find it very hard to be consistent. Now, the consistency has to be on or towards the big goal, whatever that big goal is. And with so the hummingbird, when they come out in the morning, their job is to get their fill for the day. So they're focused. What is the end goal? Is to get their fill for the day. So it's a focus on the end goal. But they're consistent going from flower to flower to attain the end goal. And that's when I say consistency with change, that's what I mean. Again, you asked, what do you think is the purpose of change in each case? Change is for me, it's to make you better. It's to make you into the end goal, whatever the end goal is, whatever the end that you want to achieve. Change is for that purpose. It is not for today. It's never for now. It's never for today. It's always towards the end goal. How do you know when it's the right time to change? That is $1 million question. It is. I think it's about looking at everything that's happening around you and just being able to determine for yourself what needs to happen next. And it's difficult. A lot of times you need a mentor to help you to do that. because sometimes when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame. It's very difficult for you to try to do this on your own. It's hard. But I think having a mentor or having mentors or having guidance, some form of guidance in your life all the time, that would help you to always understand when it's time to move to the next level. The right place again is having guidance, but I believe also is trusting in your instincts. You always know when it's time to change. When I was in the network marketing industry, and I did extremely well, traveled the world, over 50 countries in that industry, and I knew it was time to change. Even though I was making money and traveling, I knew it was time to change because I didn't feel comfortable in that position anymore. I didn't feel as if that position was giving me meaning anymore. Money is not a driving force for happiness. We all know this. And so money has never been my driving force. My driving force has always been the end goal. What can I do with the money? That has always been my end goal. So for me, it was always what is about to happen. So within that industry, I felt I wanted to change. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to really impact lives. But it was really, 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 really difficult to do that if I wasn't going to change what I was doing. And so for me, it was the right time. You asked the question, where is the right place to go? Again, you go to your mentor. You go to a group of people, a select group of people perhaps, who have your back, who understand you. It's really hard, Beth, when you're an entrepreneur, to really open up to a lot of people. Because people, especially if you're a strong character like myself and like Vicky, it's very difficult for you to always open up to a lot of people. You find it hard. But you have to have someone in your life, because you're not on this planet on your own, who you can open up to and find some solace with them about change. The place, I would say, if you want change, go inside. Go inside yourself. That is where change happens the most. It's inside you where you find it. And you would always know when it's time to change. You've got to trust your instincts. You've got to trust in your mentors. And if you believe in God, you got to trust in God.
Yep. I think there's also, like, one of the things I would add there is the people you are going to, and this is where mentors are really useful as opposed to just friends, right, or coaches or whoever you might be working with. They need to be people that will challenge you, right, and potentially even play devil's advocate to make you really think about both whether this is the right change. You know, are you changing for change's sake, or are you changing because this genuinely, as you were saying, is taking you towards whatever your big goal is? What is it that you want to have in life right now? I mean, one of the things that hummingbirds will often struggle with is, and this is something I talk to a lot of them about, is we're not necessarily talking here about, you know, where do you want to be in 20 years? Because that would just freak us out.
Indeed.
Right? Because that's a commitment. But actually, when you're talking big goal, let's talk, what can you, in your head, what can you cope with? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months?
Yes,
is it 2 years?
indeed.
Is it 5 years, right? But whatever that big goal is where are you going? What is it? What do you actually, what lifestyle do you want with it? You know, but they're going to challenge you, not just sort of be your yes men, right?
You know, you said something there, and that's so key. I teach a lot about having 90-day goals. You can make and break a habit in 90 days. 90 days is a long enough period for you to have complete change, but it's also a short enough period to not to think that, oh my God, how long do I have to do this? So I promote a lot 90-day goals, because remember the end result, the end goal. You always have to have something you're working towards. Even if it's rest you're working towards, there must be something you're working towards. And that whole attitude or that whole space of being in 90 days, especially for hummingbirds, it's not too much where they think, oh my God, how long do I have to do this for? Because they want to go and do something else.
Yep. I hear you. So Michelle has a question for us. How do you approach engaging in a variety of activities at the same time with the consistency?
Again, Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Again, it's what is your end goal? You always have to always be, what is your end goal? What are you working towards? For the majority of people who falter, and I see this in business, and I mentor clients globally in all different aspects of business, from athletes to multimillionaire business owners to startups, right across the board. The biggest problem for a lot of them is they don't know the end goal. What are they fighting for? What do they want change for? What is the end goal? And that's why the end of the 90-day goal is so key. The end of the 6-month goal is so key, what you're working towards. Now, I'm not saying that the stuff that you do every day, you won't change those things. They will be tweaked and they will change. And sometimes they feel like they're driving you crazy all the time. But as long as the end goal is clear in sight, that hummingbird, when he gets up in the morning, he is looking for nectar and he doesn't care where does it go. Where does it go? Next one, what's going on? Next one. The end goal is that he's going to get his fill for that day. And however long he has to fly, or how much he has to go from nectar to nectar or flower to flower, what is the end goal? As long as you're doing 10,000 different things, you have got, what is the end goal for each one? And what is your big goal? Okay, so I'm in Canada here right now. My big goal for the Event of Champions is to really impact lives globally with this brand. And, just speaking with a very successful business owner, entrepreneur downstairs just now, and he gave us just this amazing idea of how to even scale it even bigger. So my end goal is still the same, but a lot of the things in which I'm going to do in between of that will change. And this is the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs, with a lot of hummingbirds. When things in between happens that they have to change, they get scared. And they think, oh my God, it's not working. Plus, I can't do something else. No, that is not it. As long as the end goal is the same and stays the same, you will attain it. However long it takes, whatever mess happens in between, as long as you've got the end goal, stick and focus on the end goal.
And so, again, I mean, one of the analogies I use for this, and I think I've shared this with you before, Camilita, is so if you are in a yacht and you set your GPS coordinates for where you want to go, right? And you could theoretically go in a straight line, but you may find that the weather changes and you have to tack to deal with that. Or you might find that there's an island in the middle of the ocean and you have to go around it, or, whatever. But ultimately, you know where you're heading, but you may have to go in slightly different directions in order to get to that end goal. So absolutely. Okay, so what I want to do is move on to what I've discovered, right? So through the coaching and learning I've been doing with hummingbirds, I've been interacting with hundreds of them over the last 6 months or so. I've discovered there are 3 big challenges that tend to be kind of common areas that hummingbirds are struggling with. So I thought we could look at those. So the first one of those that hummingbirds struggle with are their careers, right? So either they feel that they're becoming unemployable because they've changed jobs so often, or they're worried they're never going to be successful because they cannot choose one career or job to focus on. So I'm curious, I mean, you've had a variety of careers up till now, right? And you're incredibly successful now. So how have you overcome those big challenges in your own career?
Again, is having a mentor. That's number one. I've always had mentors all through my life. And I wouldn't stress this enough. I've had mentors all through my life for all different reasons. And it's always good to have someone you could bounce off your ideas or your plans or your shortcomings or your fears or, whatever that concerns you every single day. That's what I do. I have mentors in all different areas, and I would just post a question or I would ask the question. That has been like the biggest thing for me. Also, it was just finding me. It was finding me. It's hard when you're in a place and you know that you're not supposed to be there, or that there is more for you, but you're still there. And it's difficult, and you think, oh my God, is it ever going to happen? Is it ever going to work out? Your mind just goes, and it just goes around and around and around, and you're just thinking, is this going to happen? Is this going to work out? And I want to encourage you, it will work out. Sometimes you got to go through all of those steps to get to that end goal, to get to where you need to be. I remember myself in the network marketing industry. Oh my God, I've been in that industry for like 10 years, traveling the world, doing all sorts, learning, not doing as I would like, but still in the industry. But let me tell you, every single thing that I've learned for those 10 years, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, the reason why I can just come to Canada and put on an event and have people turn up and people like, wow, I want to do more, it is because of those last 10 years. So within all those careers, within all those things that you've done, or that you think perhaps hasn't been significant enough, all of that is leading you to what you're going to do. Believe me, the lessons that you learn, you never lose those lessons. They are there for a reason, and they teach you, if not to be stronger, but to be more resilient, or to make more money, or to be a bit more bold with your dreams. So every single one is leading you to something. Be patient. It's difficult when you're a hummingbird to be patient.
I'm sorry, what was that word? Sorry, missed that. Camilita,
be patient. It will happen. As a hummingbird, they flutter around and they just jump from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And they're not patient. They're like, oh, well, fine, there's nothing here, I'm gone. You know that.
Yeah. No, I don't understand what you just said at all. No, seriously. So I do understand what you're saying. It can be hard, like you say. That's one of the challenges, I think, is that patience and actually that almost that belief that it can happen, but at the same time, not allowing yourself to fall into depression, right, or moroseness around it's not happening. Now, there's an interesting question here from Sarah. Hey, Sarah, great that you could join us. I think something she's struggling with, and she thinks a lot of hummingbirds do, is that staying focused on the same goal. Now, my immediate thought about that is when I think about goals or what I'm aiming for, there's, and this is where to me there's a difference between goals and almost that mission, you know, of where am I heading and what do I want out of life, right? And so for me, when I'm thinking about that end goal, it's that mission. It's what kind of lifestyle do I want? How do I want to be living it? What are the things I want to have in it? And then I might have small goals and, you know, and slightly bigger ones and kind of building up to that ultimate mission. And I might change those little goals because they're not working for me at the moment. But like you were saying earlier, it's about when you may have to make those changes, it's about thinking, where am I? What do I ultimately want to get out of this? What is it that I want in my life? You know, for me, it's I want to have a flexible lifestyle. I want to have a certain level of income. I want to have the option to, you know, I want to be global. It's all that kind of stuff. So how do I do that? What are the different things I need to put in place? So, you know, what are your thoughts on that? Again,
Sarah, you said this is one thing that you're struggling with, obviously, and other people are struggling with, staying focused on the same goal. Do you know what? Can I just tell you, I struggle with it too. Every single person that's on this planet, if they ever tell you that they don't struggle with staying focused on a particular goal, they're lying. I remember listening to Art Williams, who was the owner of A.L. Williams. This was one of the largest insurance companies in the US. And he was doing billions a year in sales. And you know, he said on this tape, he said, I wish that I could have one 24-hour period before I die where I never worry about something, where I'm never concerned about something, where I never feel as if I'm going to make it. He said, but it is not going to happen. This is a multi-billionaire. And he was saying that, and I listened, and I thought, okay, this is normal for me. It's normal, Sarah. It's normal that you're struggling. It's normal. So don't knock yourself at all. It's normal. The difference between the winners and the people that don't do it is that the people that do it, they do it over and over and over and over again until. You see that word? Until is the most powerful word, I believe, besides the word commitment in the English dictionary. Until. How long is until? Until.
Yep. So you haven't achieved it yet, right? That's another great one. So, okay, and then we also have Sharon asking, I know my end goal is to make a difference and support people to reach their fullest potential, but there's a lot of different avenues I can take to do this. How do I know what the right one is?
Well, again, Sharon, it all depends on what your goal is, which is key. But I believe it's again, I will come back to mentorship. And as I've had mentors, I have had mentors who didn't even know that they were my mentors. This is so true. I listened to Art Williams, that same gentleman I was talking about just now, for 7 to 8 years. He has been my mentor from his tapes and CDs. And I could literally recite probably half of that 30-minute CD or hour CD because I listened to it so many times. I listened to so many people over the years, loads and loads and loads and loads of people over the years. And they were my mentors. And the more I listened is the more, but this is the danger. Even though you're listening, even though you have a mentor, you've got to find you in the process. I see so many people try to be like their mentors and try to be like someone else within that same process. So be very careful because there's only one unique you. In order for you to find the right one, you need to keep going until that right one comes. I'm telling you, I've changed my presentation like a zillion times. I have changed what I say, my messaging, so many times. I have changed around things. Remember, I still have the end goal. It's there. But I have changed around so many times doing this exact same thing. And I think to myself, at one point I thought, why am I changing this so much? It was good last time. It probably was good for somebody else, but it wasn't good enough for me. And change and getting into that right place and reaching that right potential and finding, how it takes time. It's the biggest thing that people don't like, especially hummingbirds. They want it done now. You have got to take time to build. You got to take time to build the foundation. You got to take time to build relationships. It takes time. Don't knock yourself. You're not the only one, but you will find the right one if you keep going towards the big goal. And find a mentor. Find somebody who can challenge you. Find somebody who can help bring it out of you as to what that thing sometimes is. Because sometimes you don't even know unless someone says to you, then that's what it is.
Yeah. And I also think, Sharon, I mean, there's something about just starting, right? I think sometimes what I'm noticing with hummingbirds is they have so many options in front of them. They won't just choose one and just get on with it and see what happens with it, right? They almost go into overwhelm and freeze. And hummingbirds, you'll see the actual birds do that, right? They'll suddenly stop in mid-flight, and the danger of that is that's also a way of us almost starving ourselves, right? If we don't do anything. So there's something about saying, you know what, I'm just going to choose this one. I can't, and this is something I did last year after you and I had our first session. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and this and this. And I went, okay, hold on a second. You know, I've got to. I can't boil the ocean, right? I need to choose just one thing. What's the small pond I'm going to start with and boil that first. And yes, I have ideas of all the different other things I can do, but I need to just focus on one and then try something else and then try something else and just begin adding them to each other. So I think, Sharon, you know, look at all the options in front of you, and if necessary, put them in a bag with separate pieces of paper and just pull one out and start with that. So there we go. So those are careers. What about the second big challenge, Carmelita, is a lot of hummingbirds struggle with that deep connection with others, and this is often because they're on the move all the time. They feel sometimes that they've outgrown other people because their interests have changed. Now, that can be friendship groups, but often, and particularly at this point of the year, it's often around that significant other, right, that relationship. Now, you and Andrew not only are husband and wife, you're also business partners, right? And so I'm wondering what your key insights are and how you grew and keep evolving that happy relationship.
As my husband says, let me get his exact words. So when he hears this, he won't be offended. He says, I have learned to say, yes, dear.
What a very sensible man.
He says, I've learned to be the gopher. He says, yeah, go for this, go for that, go for this. Go for that. I think, again, like anything else, is evolving. Andrew and I are very different, as most people know. Andrew is more of a technician and I'm more of the entrepreneur. So we have our lane. As long as we stay in our lane, we're happy. But
Okay.
when I try to be the technician, or when he tries to be the entrepreneur, then we have some very loud discussions. So I've learned, and again, for people who work together, for relationships, find your lane. Find your lane. What makes you tick? What are you good at? Don't try to be a jack of all trades. Don't try to be somebody else. You have your lane. I hate to do what Andrew does, and he hates to do what I do. So we stay in our lane. And the one thing is that we communicate a lot. If he's not happy with something, we don't do it. If I'm not happy, he knows he's not doing it. But we communicate a lot, and we're in agreement. And if we're not in agreement, it doesn't happen at all. Even though I may want it, not happening.
Okay.
We will not do it if we're not in complete and utter agreement. It's very difficult because as we travel a lot, we don't really have a lot of close friends in England, yet we have close friends globally. And we can pick the phone up and call for any reason, or we could go to their house or whatever. So it's very difficult because sometimes, because I don't like a lot of friends around, because I feel as if I'm my own friend. I don't need any friend. You know what I mean? But it's hard because we are here for a reason, and we're here with other people for a reason. And I think it's a trick that hummingbirds miss because they're loners. If you see them flying around, we kind of want to do a lot of stuff on our own, and that's dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be. But as far as relationships are concerned, it's important, as I said, to stay in your lane. And it's important to ask for help. You know, one of my mentors used to say, ask for help, not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And it's difficult for hummingbirds to ask for help. We don't like it. We don't like people know what's going on in our lives or our businesses or what's going on in our home. We just don't. Again, that's why I have a mentor that I can talk and I can share personal stuff with. I have one friend that I can share anything with. And I have other people that I can share different parts of my life with. But I'm very careful who I share things with. I can share everything with my husband, but I'm very careful whoever I share everything else with, because you don't know. But it's important. Relationships are extremely important when you're a hummingbird. Even though you don't feel like it, even though you think you're a loner, they are extremely important. And I want to encourage every hummingbird that's listening to find someone that you can connect with. Find someone that you can really, truly trust. I know it's really hard, especially if you've been hurt before, or you feel as if you don't need someone. Find somebody you could truly connect with, whether it's a business partner or a partner, a personal partner, or family member. You need it. It's crucial.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, one of the things, and I've been having some discussions with a number of hummingbirds around this topic, what they're looking for is they look out in the world and they see these groups of really tight-knit people, right? And they're like, oh, I want to be in one of those. And I've been there. I've been in that place where I thought that's what I wanted, and I tried it out in a few different places. And I found, because my thing is, hummingbirds are natural change agents, and it's not even that we consciously go out to do that, but because of who we are, and the fact that we'll see something and we'll think, oh, that's interesting, and start questioning it, right? We start questioning things. What groups of tight-knit people often are like is they have a particular way they do things. They have a particular way they are. And if you come in as a hummingbird and get accepted initially into that group, well, as soon as you're in that group, you say, oh, well, what's that about? Why do we do things like that? Have we thought about doing it like this? Right? And that automatically becomes an uncomfortable place for people. And I got to the point for myself where I said, you know what? Actually, what matters to me is that I have deep connection. I don't need to be a group of people. So I have some very close friends all over the world, like yourself, right? And I have made a lot of effort to build a couple of very good friends here in the UK. But I still have great friends in Panama, half of whom are on this webinar. Thank you very much. Good to see you, Betsy. And I know Beth's on here as well, and I think I saw Christine too. That's my Panamanian contingent. Obviously, I have friends in New Zealand, you know. So but it is about rather than saying I must be in a group, it's about I need to have those connections and I need to know what those connections are. And I do need to make an effort with them and make sure that I'm putting that quality time in. It doesn't have to be quantity, it needs to be quality. But yeah, and I really liked what you said about you and Andrew and having those tracks, you know. So
we are our lanes.
And I get that with the business, in relation to your business. Do you have that in your personal relationship as well with each other?
Yes.
That you, yeah.
Oh yes, it's in our business life and it's in our personal life. We stay in our lane. I hate to wash up. To wash up. I can just buy new plates every day. Andrew loves to wash up. So good. Yeah. Andrew hates to cook, and I love to cook. Yeah. Both of us wash clothes, but Andrew does more of that because he likes to fold them up nicely and put them on the bed for me. But I could be bothered, just bring the whole lot upstairs. And so, okay. So again, we have our lane, even when we're at home in our own personal relationship. We have our lane. If there's anybody who has to go and get stuff, he would go and get it, and I would then prepare it. So we have our lane even in our own personal relationships at home. Okay. I don't do what he does. I hate to wash up. I will not wash up. I will put it in the dishwasher, and then he has to turn on the dishwasher. So again, even in my own, listen, I'm telling the world my business now. You know, seriously, even in my own personal home, we have our lane. Because I have learned there is no point that you can get into arguments for the simplest of things. And I have learned, I remember being with Sharon Lecter in October, November last year in the UK and Hawaii and Barbados and everywhere else. And Sharon would watch both of us because there are things that annoys her. But she would watch Andrew and me. And like if Andrew is parking the car, I have learned, stand back, let him park the car, and then you get in the car. Yeah. So she was looking at me and she was wanting to put the bags in the car because she's like, Mom, Sharon, no, you're not touching the bags. We're looking after you. Don't worry. But she was like, well, why are you not helping him? I said, I have learned to let him park the car the way he wants to. And when he's done and it looks nice, I said, well done. And I sit down and we both go have a happy journey down the road. Okay, interesting. Well, Gareth and I might have to have a chat after this. He's been very quiet. And so the third, let's move on to the third challenge, shall we? So the third key challenge that Hummingbirds are saying that they're trying to deal with, and we focus on it in the events that we run, is because they're flitting, right, from one thing to another. And even if that flit is, you know, so for me, until I became a management consultant in my previous life before that, my turnaround on careers, not jobs, careers, was 2 years, right? So I kind of had a 2-year window. Yeah. I'd do my 2 years and then I'd move on to the next one. Yeah. Gareth's is 8, so he's got an 8-year window. So his flit is slightly longer than mine. Yes. But there's still that kind of, we know we will move on, right? We know we're not in it for the forever. And so with that whole, we keep going from interest to interest, job to job, place to place. What Hummingbirds are struggling with is they sometimes feel they're not doing anything meaningful with their lives. Now, you're an inspiration to thousands of people globally. And I'm wondering, you know, how did you work out what you could do to impact people in a meaningful way? I think my focus has always been on the people. And I think that has to be like the number one, your number one port of call. Your number one port of call has to be, the focus has to be on the people and not on you. It has to be on their goals. It has to be on their results and not on you. And I think when the focus comes away from you and the focus goes on the client or the customer, it makes a huge difference to how you treat the customer. It makes a huge difference to how you treat business as a whole. It makes a huge difference on how you understand what is most important in business. You know, I run loads of seminars across the world. One of the things in which I teach on is having a customer plan versus a business plan. You know, what does your customer want? What are they looking for? What do they need? How are you willing to serve them and support them more? Because if you're fluttering around and you're going from thing to thing, but the focus is not on in business, the main goal is the customer, regardless. I know it's about earning money and all of that, but the main goal is the customer. If the focus is not on the customer as the main goal, and the focus is on you, how much money you can earn, or how more significant you can be, or how more, you know, wealthy you can be, you've lost the plot. And as a result, you will lose everything. Because people can tell literally straight away if you're genuine, people can tell if you care about them, people can tell if you're just going from thing to thing, but the focus is on you always and not on them. Yeah. And again, coming back to the end goal, what is the end goal? Is the end goal on the customer? Is the end goal on how you're going to support them, how you're going to help train them, how you're going to build them, and letting them know that you care for them outside of business as well. That has to be the ultimate goal every single time. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I mean, it's something that I'm looking at, and one of the things I've done recently is, and one of the reasons I've left employment, right, and taken up control of my own life, as Sharon says, to become the CEO of my own life, right?
Indeed, yes.
Is back in New Zealand, I did a lot of voluntary work as well as working full time, and then I moved over here. And initially, it was because I didn't really know enough about over here, so I was kind of like, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I like? And then I became a management consultant, and that's a lifestyle where it's incredibly difficult to commit to anything outside of work. Right, because you could get sent off to Mongolia tomorrow. So I've had to think, okay, what do I want to do, not only through my business, but also through my voluntary work? You know, I want to start introducing that. So I'm doing something at community level. What is that banging?
I'm in a hotel. Give me 1 second. Let me see.
So I'll keep talking about what I think meaningful life is. So one of the things I'm looking at is, a bit like Camilita was saying, is what I do on a day-to-day basis with the people I work with, whether that be voluntary, whether it be through my business, or whether it be just in my general interactions with people.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I keep going while you were gone. It's focusing on what they need and what they want, and I find by doing that they give meaning back to me.
Indeed.
Right? So, okay, now time is racing past. Do we have any more questions from people before we begin to clear things, close up? Oh, this is an interesting one. And this has come from across the table, how do human hummingbirds differ from country to country?
I'm glad you asked the question, because I've been in the network marketing industry for 12 years, and I worked with people in different time zones, from Canada to Japan, Australia, right across. People are people, the number one, but people are different. Culture is different, I should say, not people. People are the same in every country of the world, and when you study cultures and you study how people live, that is what is different, is culture. It's not necessarily people. Mm-hmm. And for instance, me working with a hummingbird in Mexico, I know that hummingbird in Mexico is going to be late, guaranteed. I'm working with one in the Caribbean. Hey, we come an hour late, we're early. It's the norm. Okay. When I'm working with one in Germany, you better be on time, or you better be before time. Let me tell you. If I'm working with somebody in Australia, you better be a little bit laid back, but be on time still and be professional. So I've learned that even I'm working with hummingbirds in different countries, I am conscious that they are people. So I treat them the same, with the same respect, but I treat culture differently, because I understand that culture is different. For instance, if I'm dealing with someone from Scandinavia, very different than if I'm dealing with someone from the UK, for instance. With Scandinavia, they are on time, they're on it, they want to understand everything, they want to get everything, they want to make sure everything works out right. And when they get it, they get it. When they get it, they're solid. But it takes a while for them to get it. and but that's the culture there.
Mhm.
But as far as they're a person, I understand that if it's a business person, I treat them as a business person should be treated. But I treat the culture very, very differently from country to country.
Okay. See, I've never really thought about this, so that's going to have to be something that I consider at a later time. We do have. Thank you very much. So Sarah's asked us. I've found a lot of people who say things like, I just insert their passion here, instead of proudly saying what they do. So do you think hummingbirds do this more than most?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I don't necessarily think so. Let me just make sure I'm seeing what she said. I just something. No, I don't think so. I think it's just there. I mean, there are four personality types, and again, you can probably put one of them in the light of being a hummingbird, which is more like a sort of sanguine / choleric kind of attitude, kind of personality type, in that they're very excited, they want things happening, they're like woo woo woo, but then they will just get it done, and they will just get done whatever the thing needs to get done. So I don't think it makes a huge difference. For instance, if they say that I just so and so, instead of probably saying what they do, I don't think that's the case. I think that is up to personality types. And with the 4 personalities, the cholerics would like to just say it as it is, and that's it, they're done. The melancholies, they want to analyze and check everything out and say, why is it that they do what they do? Then you've got the phlegmatics who just, oh, well, whatever, that's what I do. And then we've got the sanguines, which to an extent is like a hummingbird, where they just want,
I agree with that. I also think there's something around that, around a certain level of self-confidence and core confidence. And that's something that, and personal resilience that you were talking about earlier. And that's something that I focus on the 2-day course, is around, as a hummingbird, because a lot of them feel that they don't quite fit in, or maybe they're a failure because they're not fitting into the world's definition of you must find your one true calling, right? Find your purpose and follow that. They often feel that something's wrong with them, and so there's something about addressing that, actually, and saying there is nothing wrong with you. If anything, there's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot that's valuable about you. Indeed. Let's build up your core confidence, because once you're confident in who you are and why you are, then when someone says, what do you do, or you can say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is why I do it, right? So, okay, and Christine asks, it is always hard to balance commitments, spouse, family, work, outside interests, charities, continuous education. We are over-ambitious. Is there a reasonable ratio of time that you see entrepreneurs following, such as 80-10-10? In other words, are we working too much or too little?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Christine. Christine, for me, as I said before, I'm very driven, but I'm also very structured. And I think I said this at an event we did in London some time ago, or at the event of champions. I think that I said that I'm very structured with my business, with my life. My life is very, very structured, so I can get a lot more done than the average person. I have a list on my mobile phone. I showed my mentor the other day, and she was like, oh my God, I have a list for the list. So I try. The list is huge. So I keep everything in line because I'm very structured with my time. For instance, I have my personal development time when I get up in the morning, or my workout time, and that whole routine in the morning. I do the exact same thing at night. Then during the day, everything is structured in detail. For a lot of hummingbirds, because they're sanguines, which is the personality type I was talking about before, there's no structure. There's very little structure. They just do something because it feels good, and they just go to the next one and go to the next one. I am very structured with my time. Every 30 minutes, every half an hour, I know where I should be, what I'm doing. I mean, for this morning already, I've had, I don't know how many appointments since 8 o'clock here in Toronto. 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. And then I'm back, I'm with Vicky now. And then when I finish here, I've got to go to see a couple of hotels. And then I come back and have a dinner appointment. And that's my time. So it's very, very structured. But I also make time for my health and for my family. because I believe, this is my personal belief, is God first, family second, business third. That's my personal belief. If your life is not being looked after first, nothing else makes sense. You could do as much charity work and feel good when you're finished, but if your family life is out of balance, you're still messed up. If your time with your spouse is not in the right order because you're doing so many other things, you're just completely messed up. And for anything else that you hold dear to yourself and to you. So it's not an 80-20 rule. It's not an 80-10-10 rule. It is you sitting down and working out what will bring you. For instance, if you're in a business and you know that you need to spend 10 hours every day on your business because that looks after your family, don't spend more than 10 hours. Spend 10 and no more, or spend 6 and no more. But have that structure, because again, it is family after, God first, family second, business third. That structure must be there. I'm just looking at your question as well. How much time do you spend during the day on continuous education? Continuous education for me is paramount. Off of all that I do, that is like the biggest thing for me, whether it's continuous education for my own personal development or for my business. That is crucial. It's like I get up in the morning and I have to kind of think about something personal development wise, or read a book. And I read like 5 books a month. I'm always listening to seminars and listening to CDs and engaging my mind, because if I want to help my mentees, or I want to help the world get better, I need to get better first. And I need to get better every day, not when I feel to read, not when I'm feeling okay. This is something that I make a conscious choice to do every single day. When I meet with clients that are potential clients or potential business partners, I listen to them and to their ideas, because every single time I listen, that's continued education for me. I'm learning new ways to do things. So it's, for me, like more than anything else, more than my marriage, more than my health, more than, besides God, more than anything else, continued education is the most important thing in my life.
Okay, what's a book we must definitely read then?
Oh God, I've got tons.
You've just opened Pandora's box, Betsy.
I know. I've got loads. I mean, should I tell you the ones that I'm reading now? So that would help you. I'm reading one called The Experience Economy. So just 3. Okay, The Experience Economy. And that one is telling you a lot about how people buy and what people do and how sales are generated and how people create more business for themselves. And it's one that was recommended by somebody. So that's one that I'm reading now. Another one that I'm reading now is called the 80-20 rule. And again, you talked about 80-10-10. This is the 80-20 rule, but this pertains to business and how you but that one, I did that in the network marketing industry for 12 years, so I understand why. But I kind of wanted to read it to understand more of an online presence, which they talk about a lot in that one. So that's another one that I'm reading now. And the one I'm also reading is called Walk Away Wealthy. So this one is about setting your business up. So it's called Walk Away Wealthy. It's about setting your business up now to sell it. If your plans are in 5 years' time to sell it for 10 million or 20 million or whatever your belief is, how do you structure and set that business up now so that in 5 to 10 years' time you can sell it for 10 or 20 million? So those are just 3. There's loads more that I'm reading all one time.
And the one from me, which is about personal development, is called The Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, and it's fantastic. So we're going to have to close up because our hour is pretty much up. So thank you, Camilita. Any last insights that you have for our participants?
I just want to say to everybody who's listening, for those of you who who couldn't make it onto the webinar, because there's a lot more we want to share. You need to go along to the event with Vicky. What she is creating with this Hummingbird experience, this Hummingbird brand, it's just phenomenal. And we are going to be doing this in New Zealand. So if you're listening, and you're going to be listening to the recording, and you're in New Zealand, you would hear this. But go along to the event, because as a hummingbird, and I'm talking about from my own personal experience, as a hummingbird, it's really, really difficult to stay focused if you don't have things around you to keep you focused. So go along to the event, be a part of the movement that Vicky is bringing out. You would not regret that you've been. I'm telling you, as a hummingbird myself, it's really difficult when you know you should be doing something, but you don't know what it is. But because you're fluttering around doing 10,000 other things and not honing in, Vicky will help you to hone in onto exactly what you should be doing. Bring clarity to your mind, bring clarity to your business, bring clarity to just your home. And you know what? All of those things I talked about before with regard to your home and your business and, you know, all that kind of thing, it's experience, and it's experience over time. And you will get that with Vicky because of her vast experience. I tell you, when I met her, no, seriously, when I met her and I heard about the things she did in the corporate world, I was blown away, because I thought, here is this woman who doesn't really mention a lot of these things as to what she's done. But what she has done is tremendous. And now she's bringing all of that experience to you at these seminars and these courses. And she's going to be doing a lot of courses, some of these courses online. You know, for those of you that are listening, if you'd like to have this course that she's delivering in the UK and across the world online, you know, do get in touch with her, because I believe it will help your life and your business so much, just to bring in and hone in to that focus. And you would live with consistency. You would do it until, and you will keep going regardless. That's my favorite word, regardless.
Regardless. Thank you very much. And I know I'm coming away invigorated from this conversation. And as Carmelita said, we are going to be going global this year. So New Zealand, Australia, Panama, and Canada, we are coming to you this year. And we're going across the UK first. So we've got that offer. Otherwise, you could just come to the 2-day or the workshop. It's up to you what works for you. What I do want to say, I'm an unconventional challenger, so don't come along if all you want is a soft landing, because you're not going to get it. It will be fun, it will be interactive, but you will be challenged. I will challenge you. So it's been great. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for your questions. I've enjoyed myself, Carmelita. And enjoy the rest of Toronto and fly safely tomorrow. So thank you all very Thank you
so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Bye. Love you too. Bye.
Bye.